Dave, sit here. Naomi's going to sit here. Madeline, you're at the end. Wendy, you're in between Madeline and Dave. Thank you, Dave. Big round of applause for Mr. Dave Evans. Following Dave's advice about understanding the problem, grappling with the problem, thinking through these things, maybe reframing, we always do an interactive segment in these evenings, and we're going to do what we can with the time that we have, but this is your time to take out your cell phones again. So we had you text in whether you were a student or a teacher or a parent, and you text your role 22333, and then you write in CS student or CS parent or CS educator, okay? And what's going to happen is we're going to ask you some questions, and you'll then type in your answer, and we'll see the results live. It's very exciting, a little nerve-wracking for me as the MC, but it's really cool, and we'll have folks weigh in on the results, okay? So I think we're going to move to the first question, and the first question has to do with free time. So this is a question that we only want middle and high school students or parents of middle and high school students or teachers of middle and high school students to answer. Okay, so if you have little kids, just sit this one out for now because it's going to skew it otherwise. So we're interested in middle and high school students. If you're a parent, how many hours of free time does your kid have in middle and high school? If you're a teacher, predict how many hours of free unstructured time. Free unstructured time, right, where they're not told to do something by an adult. Free unstructured time. So go ahead and let's switch the slide. This is what you want to type in. If you are a kid in middle or high school or a parent of one or a teacher of one who has 0 to 30 minutes each day, you're going to type in almost none. You're going to text 22333 and then you're going to put almost none. Kind of long, watch the spelling on that. 30 minutes to 1 hour each day, you're going to actually type in an hour. Almost 2 hours of free unstructured time a day, you're going to type in almost 2. Or 2 or more hours each day, you're going to type in 2 or more. So take the time right now to think about that and figure out what you're going to type in. And if you don't do autocorrect because it's going to mess you up, just make sure you write it that way, okay? So take a minute. You can talk amongst yourselves for a minute, and then we'll come on back and we'll see the results. Weekdays, Monday through Friday. Good question, good clarification. Weekdays, Monday through Friday. Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to text it in? Okay, we're going to do about 30 more seconds. Okay, now these are the results. Now I'm going to tell you how to read these. So and it's hard for me to see too. So the lighter color is almost none. The blue color, the darker blue, is 30 minutes to an hour. 1 to 2 hours is the white, and on the far side is 2 or more hours. So it looks like for the students, they're saying about 30% are in that, 30 to an hour, but we're pretty much divided up here. We've got a bunch of different ways. For the parents, a little bit of disagreement, but more similar. Now, the educators feel differently. The educators think that half of their middle and high school students have more free time than according to the students and parents they do. So let's just see now what the panel has to say about this. So I don't know, Naomi, are you comfortable saying how much free time you have?
I think on a good day when I can manage to make myself get all my work done, I can probably have about 2 hours. About 2 hours.
So you would be in that 25% of the kids. Okay. Why is free time important? Who wants to take that? Wendy, you talk about this a little bit in your talk. Why is free unstructured time important in the first place?
I'm going to change the question a little bit to say, why does free time panic everyone so much?
Answer that.
And I think that the reason
it's not free.
Exactly. And the cost is screen time So parents are afraid if there's unstructured time, besides the falling behind that the students were so eloquent in describing, that the default activity will just be to have a screen in front of the face.
Right.
So better to make it enriching time than downtime and it's not just students, all of us have lost the skill of what to do with our imaginations and incipient boredom.
Right.
So our default activity is to look at that machine too.
Yeah, yeah. Madeline.
I was just going to say, when we started out, when I met Dave for the first time tonight, I said to him, gee, I'm so busy, I just came from Chicago, and he said, I just came from London, and I said, I'm not sleeping much, and he said, I only slept 2 hours, and it's this kind of like...
I won that argument.
Right?
Yeah. No.
I completely agree with you. It's kids and adults, and the reason downtime is so critical, I think about where do you build an identity? Where do you figure out, like, all the stuff you were talking about, what matters, what you care about, what interests you? You can't do that while you're running around. When I was in high school, I spent all of high school, when I came home from school, on the bed listening to Bob Dylan. He shaped everything about my worldview, and my mother every once in a while would say, get up and do something, but I didn't. I listened to Bob Dylan all the time. And in that process, I got to craft a sense of what mattered. I was really curious. I was really interested. And I think, from my point of view, the biggest issue that kids have is around identity. They don't know. You strip away the Stanford degree or the grades, and you say, no, just tell me who you are. You're waiting for that spark, right? That spark in a kid, and you don't get it. And for me, those kids are in big trouble because they haven't had time to think about who they are.
Yeah. Dave?
We teach classes on play in the design program because play is not the same as sport, it's not the same as winning and losing, and if you think of extracurriculars as things that will give you skills and all this other stuff, it's still production-oriented. Right. It's all a production mindset.
It's still adult-led, too.
And adult-led, and it's, can you do something for the sheer joy of it with no outcome? One of the most amazing memories I have is the week that my now eldest son learned to walk. We were camping in Canada, and he was walking everywhere he could, and he said he needed to go to the bathroom. I said, okay, and I said, let's go. And I made the decision that we will get to the bathroom whenever the heck he wants to.
Yeah.
2.5 hours later.
He held it.
And the process was because it was a gravel path. And it turns out there are many rocks in gravel, and he would walk and go, oh, look, Daddy, a rock! And we'd stop and we'd inspect the rock, and there would be another one right on the other side of it, as it turns out. And I kind of go, I think we've covered the rock thing, it was so hard for 2.5 hours to just do the rocks. Right. But it was a vivid memory, so just do it, okay? Just let them go. We have lost the ability.
Yeah. So we, at Challenge Success, and many of you know this because I know I see some groupies in the audience, and I love seeing you year after year. We have a mnemonic aid called PDF, and it stands for Playtime, Downtime, Family Time. And free unstructured play is something everyone, like you said, adults and kids need every day. And downtime, that chillax, right? The time to chill, where Austin turns to the viola. What does he do with his free unstructured time? He turns to music because that's what he loves, and that's what's soothing, and that's what he's freely choosing to do, and that's what's getting him through the stress. So David Elkin calls playtime genius time, right? And we love David Elkin. And that is where you really learn all the things that you don't learn when someone's coaching you in soccer or when someone's teaching you how to do polynomials in math, and I don't even know what polynomials are, but you know what I'm saying. So PDF, playtime, downtime, family time, this chart needs to be different. It needs to skew more to those more hours, and it's taken up by a lot of stuff that we schedule kids in. And just to ask you to reflect on that, and as you leave here tonight, think about, am I encouraging playtime, downtime, family time as important as math, homework, and soccer skills, etc.? Okay.
Doesn't this mean that the teacher doesn't think the homework is that hard?
Well, I think that, and we talk about that. I mean, it's a good segue to our next question. The educators have to understand that they think the kids have more free time than they really do, Maybe it's because the kids are overscheduled with extracurricular activities. Maybe it's because they're doing too much homework. This is why Challenge Success often surveys kids to find out what's really going on day in and day out, and we give that information back to the schools to help them understand this. It's a great point, Dave.
Okay.
Okay, you ready for your next question? You did great on that first one. Okay, this is a little bit harder. Okay, your teenage daughter comes home and proudly shows you an essay that she wrote for school. It happens to be worth a lot of points. You look at it and find it subpar. Little disjointed, some mistakes in there, really not so great. What do you do? What do you do? Okay, these are your answers that you get to choose from. You can celebrate with positive feedback. And if you do that, you type in pause feed, okay? You can have your child rewrite it. And you can write child rewrite. You can sit and revise it together. And if that's the case, you type do together. You can revise the essay yourself. If you do that, you will type you revise. Or you can hire a writing tutor. Now, if you're a student, you want to write in what you would like your parent to do. If you're a teacher, you're going to write in what you would like the parent to do. And the parent, you're just going to try to be as honest as possible and tell us what you would actually do. Okay? Go ahead, take some time to look at those, and we'll call you back in a minute. Okay, make sure you're typing those in correctly. We'll give you about 30 more seconds. These are tricky, so make sure you're spelling them correctly. Okay, so the white panel is the sit and revise together. The light blue one is celebrate with positive feedback. The yellow is the tutor, right? And the green is the you revise. Thank you, students, for those are what you think the parents are actually going to do, or that's what you want the parents to do. That's a little interesting there. So you can see here there's, again, a slight disconnect, but a little bit more consistency here that about celebrating. But there's also a big chunk of white there where you sit and revise together, which is very, very interesting. So Madeline would like to speak.
This one.
Go ahead, Madeline.
Because we didn't have do nothing as an option, nor did we have talk and tell me about it.
Right.
I mean, this idea that you're going to celebrate something that's subpar, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because it's, you know, it's in this genre of don't make my kid unhappy, it sucks, but I'm going to tell them it's really great. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. It's not your paper. It's like, and the issue of allowing your child to experience a developmentally appropriate challenge. So they get that paper back and they get a C and the teachers, or maybe that's the best they can do. You know, that's another option. But the fact is that the feedback comes to them and let them, if they don't feel good about it, that's okay. You know, it's sort of like when you were saying, fall off a small branch before you fall off the cliff. It's kind of like developmentally a high school, junior high school kid can deal with a teacher who says, you know, you could have done better than that.
But it's worth a lot of points. This is
So
instilling
what?
fear in parents out here. It's worth a lot of points, Madeline.
And so, it's like one friggin' grade out of like a lifetime.
She believes in free time. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's not free.
It's because I went to a state school, not
Right.
Stanford.
All right. Oh my God. Wendy,
It's going to leave a little mark.
Wendy,
there.
bring us back to sanity here. Talk to us.
But it reminds me of two examples. One was the mother who went onto the computer to check over her daughter's application, and she changed the spelling of Kenyon College to Kenyan, because she thought that that was a mistake. And the other is a friend of mine who teaches at Middlebury, but she's been surveying students at the University of Michigan. Her name is Barbara Hofer. She's written a wonderful book called The I-Connected Parent. Yeah. And she says that students submit their papers with the track changes view of Microsoft Word still on. Yeah. So the professors can see all of the parents' edits. And I think
in college,
college, it's because the parents are a little bit hobby and creativity deprived. No, I really think this is a serious problem. They look at that paper, and I was working with parents yesterday whose daughter is running for student office, and the father is a successful actor, and the mother a successful writer. And they were dying over that speech because they wanted to help her. The mother wanted to rewrite it, and the father wanted to help her enunciate and act excited.
Right.
And the question I have about this question is, what is the big picture of this child's academic career?
Good.
Because their homework is their work. They're responsible for doing that homework. I don't want them playing and farting around all the time. And they get their privileges based on their accountability about being good family citizens and tending to their work. So if this is an aberration, that student might really appreciate help. If it's chronic, we have a whole different problem. And what we do is we take the student's temperature, and they say to me all the time, I feel like every minute of every day my whole future is on the line.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at the big picture of the child, we're looking at each, as our student beautifully said here, each B-.
Right, and I want to point out there was a key word in that question. We put that word in on purpose. They proudly showed the work. They proudly showed the work. They were excited about it, about something in it, right? So their version of subpar and your version of subpar are not the same. And if this is a huge issue, you would have already been notified by the teacher, right? If they had a real writing problem, the teacher would tell you. It would be reflected. But they proudly showed you something.
I got a problem with the T up here.
Yeah?
Between one of the periods and a Y, there's a big moment. Your teenage daughter comes home and proudly shows you an essay she wrote for school. It happens to be worth a lot of points, period. You look at it. It's not your paper.
It's not your paper.
Excuse me, was that, let me see it, honey? Or was that, leave it on the table and you go,
No, she proudly showed it. She said, Dad, look, I'm proudly showing you. I'm proudly showing you the essay.
And asked you to read it. Okay,
yeah.
so you look at it.
But she's proud of it.
Okay, great.
It's really crappy.
What would you like what would you like, honey? I mean, we got somebody who's proudly showing essays. I mean, barely can dress herself, a 3-digit IQ, can flush the toilet, all that stuff. You know, and how about a question in there?
Good.
Like, what would you like, honey?
Tell me what you like about it. You seem really proud of this. Tell me what you like about it.
Did you want some feedback?
Right. Naomi, has this happened? If you know any, it doesn't have to be you. It could be a friend.
I think that the real question is whose opinion matters in this case. It shouldn't be the parent's opinion. If the student is proudly showing you their work, that means that they think it's good and they want to celebrate it, whether or not you agree. That doesn't mean lie to them and say that you think it's good if you don't find it so, but just give them an honest opinion and let them be.
Yeah. I mean, and some parents have said to me, because I've done this scenario before, and they'll say, I want to save her the embarrassment of turning in something that's crappy and getting a bad grade. It's not even like, I don't even care about the grade, which is a lie. But they say that. It's really, I want to save them the embarrassment. And what do you think of that?
It sounds like you'd be the one who's embarrassed.
So smart. Whose paper is it? Whose grade is it? Wendy has this great line, I quote it all the time, my child, my masterpiece. No. No.
My child, their masterpiece.
My child, their masterpiece. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Educators, this surprised me too. And I like that the bigger thing is the celebrate. And I agree, you don't want to lie, but you do want to celebrate. They think they're proud of it, so you want to find something good in it. But a lot of educators are actually abdicating to parents and saying, you're right, go ahead, we want you to edit it, it'll help us with our job. That's not okay either. And the good writing teachers have said to me, parents don't understand writing as a process. That particular assignment might have been about fluency. Might not have been about showing evidence and supporting evidence with, you know, we're not interested in the semicolon just yet. We're interested in fluency and ideas. You don't know what the purpose of that assignment was. So before you jump in and become the New York Times editor, right, you want to talk about.
Well, okay, the question I thought of is, and would you say this is a good one? I'm just a dad. What do you want from me? It says, oh, so it sounds like you're really excited. So it sounds like you might be expecting you're going to get a good response at school when you take this in. Oh, yeah. What is it about your essay you think your teacher's going to like?
That's a great question. That's a great question. A plus, Dave. He knows his stuff.
I think
Madeline.
I think the other point that this makes is sort of in your interactions with your kids, you should be more interested in their affect and their feelings and their emotions than than their production, as you're saying. Because especially with teenagers, at the end of the day, the only leverage you really have with your teenager is that you have a good relationship with them. They're bigger than you, they're faster than you, there are a lot of things more than you are. And so, to keep them kind of vaguely in line, you want to be able to talk to them, and that's being able to read them and comment. You seem excited, you seem pleased. And much less about the content.
So I want to just say one thing. I know that people are stressed about grades, and I purposely said teenage daughter, but if this was the junior year and it counts for college or whatever it is in your mind, there's this fear out there about college and grades. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that the child gets the grades they need to get into college?
The child's?
Naomi, say it again.
The child's, perhaps?
Can you get into college with a low grade on one essay, or 2 essays, or 3 essays, or low grade in 1 or 2 classes, and still go to a good college?
Yes.
So people don't believe that. Kids will say, I got a B, or I got a C, or I got a D. That's it. I'm never going to the University of California. That's it. Write it off. My life is over. I know you guys are looking shocked. This is what we hear every day.
Right.
And this is what this is part of, is this fear, and why you have to sit and revise it together. Part of it is spare the embarrassment. Part of it is I have to teach writing because I don't trust the teacher to teach writing. Part of this is a lack of faith. And part of this is I'm so nervous that this is going to lead to a bad grade that's going to decide the rest of my life theme, design success.
It's also displacement of the parents' fears about how old they are, about the condition of the world, about the economy, about the stability of their job, about college tuition, about the state of their marriage, about the state of their health. So they transferred, and this is a very natural thing to do, onto one thing you can control, that particular paper and the grade on that paper, and it reminds me of what happens with parents of elementary school teachers, where they are desperate for the child to get the better rather than the good teacher, because again, it feels like something to control in a world that is changing so quickly and that seems so unstable. And as parents mature and realize they will not always be around to sort of lie down on the ground so their kids can walk on top of them.
Yeah. So we're not going to do the third question because it's about over-parenting, and I feel like Wendy just answered that, and I'm also really mindful of time. But I want an answer, and everyone gave a different answer about designing success.
How do you want to do the third question? Who wants to do the third
Well,
question?
do we have time? Are you going to be okay? Okay, if you promise to
Ask
type,
the people.
type really
Don't
fast. I want you to type really fast. Okay.
Right.
Wizard in the back, Margaret. Okay. when it comes to parent and guardian involvement in a student's academic life, what phrase best fits your current situation? Again, students answer truthfully, parents answer truthfully, teachers answer for kind of what you think the majority of your kids are experiencing in terms of parent or guardian involvement, okay? Here's what you get to text. Type fast. Supportive and helpful, just right. Over-involved, overbearing, too much. Not enough involvement, too little. Let's see what you say. Type fast and we'll do a 20-second one on this one. Let's see what the crowd is saying here. Do we have enough in? Okay. Oh, interesting. Again, a little bit of a mismatch, people. Educators say parents are too involved. Students, a little bit more so than the parents, think they're too involved. And the parents, of course, think that they're just wonderful and right. What do we make of this? What do we make of this? Naomi.
I'm going to be honest. I think I've been really lucky. My parents really do it well. They let me make my own choices, and so far it's been working. So I think that's all I have to say. I think it's been working. She's awesome. I think it's been working. Yay, Mom. Yay, Dad.
Final thoughts here on this and the over-parenting.
I just want everybody to read a book. It's by Annette LaRue. She's a psychologist. It's called Unequal Childhoods, Race and Class and Family Life in America, because it addresses this issue very directly. This is, in part, a social class issue.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing she says is that low-income kids have much happier childhoods and much more difficult adulthoods because they're not prepared for the world of work and the world of education. And working and upper middle class kids have less happy childhoods because their parents are, I'm worried the kids are going to file the largest class action suit in history against us for stealing their childhoods. But they are better prepared for adult life. Annette LaRue, Unequal Childhoods.
But wait, does that make it okay then? Because we're doing this now so that they're better prepared later?
Absolutely not. And she talks about how unhappy they are and stressed and not all the stuff we've been talking about tonight.
Also,
go ahead,
Denise, I mean, there's a boatload of research on an optimal parenting style, and it's very quick. It's firm, it's supportive, and it's warm. That's it. That's the optimal parenting style.
Say that again.
Firm, warm, and supportive. If you're just supportive and warm, you tend to end up with a kid who's a drug addict. And if you higher rates of substance abuse. I'm in a very research-oriented place. And if you're don't have the support, then you tend to end up with kids who do the right thing but have very impaired sense of identity and tend to be abusive themselves when they grow up to be parents. So the one thing I'd like people to remember about it is I think the word supportive gets misinterpreted all the time because this is old research. It's been around forever. Supportive doesn't mean, oh, honey, whatever you do is great. Supportive is supportive of developing autonomy and identity in your child. And that can be really challenging because one day your teenager comes home, you know, with black nails and she's goth, and then the next day she's a nun. And then, I mean, kids just go through all these identity things, and parents have to be supportive of the development of that, not just the stuff that they do that looks good to the parent. So warm, supportive, and firm.
If you want to design success, right? Warm, supportive, firm, playtime, downtime, family time. Let the kid own their work. Jump off some lower cliffs first, maybe then some higher cliffs. We heard a lot of advice for how to design success. I think it is possible, but I think it's very clear that we cannot engineer, as Dave said, for success. You can't guarantee it. And if you try too hard to guarantee it, you've totally blown the designing for success.
Quick anecdote.
Quick.
I just got asked to help the Graduate School of Business develop a career design program, because traditional career management doesn't work anymore. There's a whole new program we just launched with 400 MBAs this week. And we put up in front of them, okay, so there are 3 classic reasons to come to business school: to accelerate your career, to switch into a new one, or to explore. You know, and we wanted to put that out there and have them talk about that with each other and say what's going on in their motivations. And one of the reasons was that the 18 people running this new program on behalf of the university want to make sure that we're advocating explore, that it's okay to explore, because the first year there's a lot of posturing with MBAs. These are the 1 out of 17 applicants who made it in, like they have to really put on airs. There's a lot of concern about that. And what they said almost universally was, how many explorers on the list? Oh, absolutely. How many of you are looking for that, want to find while you're here that thing you didn't know you were looking for? Almost everybody. Yeah. So the best and the brightest are actually getting, I need a method for figuring out the thing I don't even know what it is. Not, I'm going to hit that nail across, I'm just going to hit that target across the room like a laser-guided missile and just give me all the juice. That's not it. Right. That's not where we need to go. The best and the brightest are actually moving toward empower me to figure it out.
Right. And we're all still figuring out. Oh my goodness, everyone here is still figuring out. So I want to say a huge thank you to the panel and to Austin for some wonderful speakers tonight. And I have a couple of final notes. If you haven't already done so, like us on Facebook. We have articles, we have discussions. You can look us up on our website. We will have clips from tonight's event on YouTube soon for anyone who couldn't make it. We're going to send out a survey tonight. Please fill it out, because we really do rely on your feedback to make next year's events even better. And this is really important. For the first time ever, we are launching an online fundraising campaign so we can serve more schools and families. Shh, for 1 second, because we really need this. We have a great relationship with Stanford, but we have to raise our own money as a nonprofit, and we need your help. We are trying to meet a $75,000 goal, which is being matched dollar for dollar. Every $10, $25 gift matters to us. So please visit Razoo and support us. As of earlier today, we already had 20 donors and $2,300 donated, so we're off to a really good start. Wendy, Madeline, and I are going to be signing books in the back. Thank you to the Stanford Bookstore, who comes year after year and does that for us. School teams who are coming tomorrow, we will see you at 8:30 in the morning, not here, but at Cubberley. Check your map if you don't know where that is. And a final thank you to everyone for showing up tonight and caring about your kids so much that you come and listen to our advice. Thank you, thank you, thank you.